There are those really obscure games out there that for one reason or another are incredibly popular in certain regions of the world. Over here in New Brunswick, the ATV Off-Road Fury series were stupid popular. In Scandinavian countries, the Sly series was incredibly popular. And in former Warsaw Pact countries, most notably Poland, Kao The Kangaroo was incredibly popular. This game was one of the last mascot platformers of the Clinton years, releasing on November 23rd, 2000 on the Sega Dreamcast and PC. Developed by the Polish studio, Tate Interactive, and published by the same people that made this unholy abomination, Kao released to some pretty average reviews and only sold around 50,000 copies, which wasn't much, but the developers were really proud of it, and I'm proud of them. Now, my history with this game is rather interesting. In the fall of 2016, me and my good friend Quantum Chill were discussing platformers, and he brought up Kao the Kangaroo. He was surprised to know that I knew of Kao's existence. I knew very little of the games other than they existed. Not only that, but we were discussing plans for Season 1 of TheRekounasShow, and Kao 1 was a part of those plans. Unfortunately, I didn't play Kao until recently, and what did I think? Well, let's start off with the plot. A family of kangaroos are just minding their own business when this hunter that looks like Adolf Hitler scoops them up. One of the kangaroos escapes with a pair of boxing gloves, and now it's up to Kao to go on an adventure to rescue his family. Simple enough story, but it's a simple mascot platformer. I'm not expecting Christopher Nolan. Getting into gameplay, and you'll notice that this game is eerily similar to Crash Bandicoot. Same hallway level structure, chase levels, bonus levels. It's set in Australia. There's a level where you can't see dick and need to use fireflies to see ahead of you. Not to mention that level is set in Egypt. There's some annoying vehicles. When Kao dies, he turns into an angel, and there's an animal buddy later on. Kao controls well enough. He's a little slow for my liking, however, there is a power-up that makes Kao run faster. For about 7 seconds. At least his jumps are easy enough to land. Like, you won't be overshooting anything. His main 2 attacks are the punch attack and the tailspin. Both are kinda jank, but they work well enough. I just wish they were more... more comfortable? Kao's main attacks simply aren't as graceful as, say, Crash Bandicoot's spin attack or Ratchet's wrench swing. I just really can't get a feel for it. You do have some flying punches, which I say for enemies with long-ranged weapons such as the Inuit dudes, the bastard penguins, and the most racist depiction of Indigenous Australians I've ever seen. Something that is actually pretty unique to Kao is the fact that you can put your own checkpoints down, which is a cool feature that I often forget about until it's too late and I'm already dead, so oops. As I mentioned before, just like in Crash Bandicoot, there is chase levels, and they suck. In the Crash games, or in most games with front-facing chase section, Spider-Man, Sonic Adventure 2, Ratchet & Clank PS4, when there's a chase section, the controls flip along with the camera. But in Kao, the controls are the same as if the camera were behind Kao. This is so ass backwards. What were they thinking? It makes something that would normally be fun in most games an absolute nightmare in this game. There's also vehicles in this game, and they're not very good. But at least it's like Ratchet & Clank 2, where you had those ship levels, which were annoying as hell, but they were only every once in a while, not like Wrath of Cortex, where the annoying vehicles are every other level. So there's 5 vehicles. There's a hang glider, a snowboard, a jet ski, a hovercraft, and this alligator. Now let me preface this. The vehicles aren't bad. They're all pretty fun to control, but the level design for these stages are just ass. First of all, you die in one hit, including brushing up against the wall, so going fast isn't an option, and the levels are way too clustered. And you may be saying, oh, but Alex, the polar levels from Crash 2 are just like this, and you like those. Yeah, you die in one hit on the polar levels too, but 1. Polar is way more fun than any of these vehicles because it controls way better. 2. Those levels aren't nearly as clustered, and you don't die when you touch the freaking wall. The one vehicle level in KO that I can tolerate is the jet ski because A, it reminds me of Jet Moto, and B, it's not as clustered. Also, make sure to save after every level because if you get a game over, it could mean going back to the start of the game. Also, these maze levels suck, they take forever to do, and I cannot stand them. This game has bosses. They're all pathetically easy, but this one gave me some trouble because it wasn't very obvious on what you had to do. I like how they're all in the boxing ring though, that's adorable. Another problem I have with this game is you still lose lives on bonus stages, what the hell? Yeah, I avoided these on my playthrough. They're not really worth it. So, I've been talking smack about this game, this whole review. There has to be something that compelled me to keep pushing forward with this game. After all, I beat the game. Well, there was 3 things. So I was going to give this game the very first failing grade on my channel, but then I got to the ship level, which was actually a very fun deviation from the norm. The level is 2.5D instead of your average 3D level. From the ship level onwards, aside from the maze levels and the vehicle levels, the level design went from mediocre to pretty solid. Not the best in the 3D platformer, but good nonetheless. Next is the music, which is pretty solid. I especially love the first space levels music. Not only is it a great level, but the music in it is great too. It's very outlandish, and it almost reminds me of something out of Ratchet and Clank. Third is just KO himself. He's just so fucking cute, dude. And when you go into the water, something amazing happens. So in most platformers, or in most games in general, when you go into the water, your character swims. But KO is such a giga Chad that when he goes into the water, he continues to walk, but his neck extends, so his head sticks up above the water so he can breathe, which is both the funniest and most cute thing I think I have ever seen. So that was Kao the Kangaroo. To tell you the truth, it was pretty average. The graphics were pretty mediocre, looking worse than a lot of PS1 games, and the gameplay was average. But the level design was decent, and the music was pretty great, and Kao himself was adorable. There's a good game in there somewhere, and I hope the sequel capitalizes on the good ideas that this game brought to the table. I was going to give this game a D+, but this game gets a C- with the title of average. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you liked what you see here, please like, subscribe, and tap the bell to stay up to date with all new TheRekounasShow content. And make sure to tune in next time.